Hey, welcome to the Parenting Connection show here with Dr. Tyra Hodge, your host. I have not seen you in such a long time. I tell you what, I've been so busy, so busy. The good busy though, with my regular job, and also being a parent. And so I like what Abraham Hamilton III says is that our full time jobs is being a parent, and when we go to work, that's our second job. But my third job is this show. And so thank you for coming in. We welcome any comments, any questions to our guests. And so we know that our nation is in crisis right now. In schools, if it's not fentanyl, probably with adults, it might be alcohol. And this is one of the times of year when um, alcohol abuse become deadly, um, can become upsetting to the family, and addictions can be formed. Today, I'm with Miss Rose. Rose, I am so glad that you're on my show today. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today, Tyra? It sounds like really good. I'm but busy.
Yes, it's busy. Roseanne Forte, she's written a book, and her book, I'm sorry, I'm sitting here trying to find the title. Her book is The Plans He Has for Me, 12-week daily devotional from freedom of alcohol. Rose, tell us what you know about the problem of alcohol.
Whew, the problem is a big one, and it depends on whose research you look at. According to National Institutes of Health, it's 11.3% of the population in the United States. But if I look at a different survey from somebody called a KFF, they do health surveys. They say, and this to me is more believable since I've been in the business, that 67% of people, 2 out of 3 people, either have had or have a substance abuse problem. So this is alcohol or other substance, or have a family member that does. And based on the people I talk to, that seems more likely. The National Institute of Health is basing it on maybe what doctors or medical professionals say, but I never told anybody I had a problem when I did. I never told the truth about how much I drank. You know what I mean? So I think that number might be a little low. I don't know, though. That's what we
Wow,
got.
and again, I agree with you. So, is it possible? Say we have somebody that's struggling with alcohol right now. Do you think it's possible for them to go through the holidays alcohol free?
Absolutely. I think it takes a mindset and a commitment to do so. You have to be mentally prepared to do this, and whether it's for the holidays or as a New Year's resolution. I just did an article actually on my website. It's www.theplanshehasforme.com, but it's how to manage holidays events alcohol free. So maybe you've started, but you're concerned about one particular event. I have some strategies. I don't know if you want me to go through them here. Is that
Absolutely, absolutely. Why did you write the book first?
the book was my own journey. Basically, I was a leader in the church and responsible for ministries, loved Jesus, but I couldn't figure out how to quit. I just kept trying and trying, and the guilt and shame and thinking I was going to be labeled. I didn't want to do a 12 step. I didn't want to be labeled an alcoholic. I didn't want to do it forever. Right. And so that's what this is like. Let's spend 84 days with God, challenge ourselves for 12 weeks and see what happens, because that's kind of my journey. I put it aside for 3 months and I was like, dang, this is a good life. Like, I want to stay here.
Was
And
it hard in the beginning?
It's funny you should ask that. It wasn't, because I was so committed and scared. I quit at the beginning of COVID when I saw, the bodies coming and, being refrigerated in Italy, and um, heavy alcohol depresses the immune system and the lung function, and two things which you really needed to survive COVID. So, are there moments where it's challenging? 100%. But when you have that mindset, like, I want to see what's possible. I'm going to give this 12 weeks. And that is kind of strategy number one, is 100% all in. 99% is a bear. That's where the enemy comes in and they go, well, just one. Nobody will know. Just this, maybe, oh, I can't do it. There's all these conversations that start happening and it becomes really painful. But if you have this mindset, I am going to go to this party and come out not drinking, makes the world of difference to how hard it is. So that's strategy number one. The next thing is being future focused, right?
Right.
You're going to take this challenge. And again, I don't ask people to do it forever. I ask them to do it long enough to make a difference. So, the name of the devotional is The Plans He Has for Me, and it's based on Jeremiah 29:11. And God tells us that He has a plan for us to prosper and give us hope and a future. And boy, when we are stuck in an addictive, habit, we definitely want a different plan and a different hope for a future. And so it's about trusting God that there's something different we can see. What happens if we sleep better? What happens if we're more productive? What happens if we're more connected to the people we're with because we're not thinking about or using, the alcohol or the substance? And so being committed to seeing something different is also super helpful.
Okay, okay. You quoted my favorite scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. I stand on that scripture. I guess I always have. You have more strategies that I think this is really going to help people. Your book was very timely, and so you gave strategy number two. What is number three?
Planning ahead.
Okay.
And because I developed these strategies by listening to people who were theoretically committed but came back and drank. So I'm like, okay, what didn't they do? And really, it seems so simple, but it's a big deal. Plan what you're going to drink there. Don't go in without knowing, because then Aunt Alice pours you a glass of wine because she's assuming you're going to drink, or somebody buys you a beer. It takes you off guard. You feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But if you plan ahead, and if it's a private party, you can bring your own mocktail, or if it's a hotel or a menu, you can plan what you're going to drink. My go-to is soda water, cranberry and lime. It's refreshing, it's pretty, it's special, and then you won't be taken off guard. I can't even tell you the amount of people that are just taken off guard. Well, they just bought me a beer and I didn't know what to do. Plan on it. Plan on somebody putting a drink in front of you and saying, no, I've got this, right? So, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you. Thank you. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, the next
If
one
you
is,
have any questions for Rose, go ahead and drop them in the chat and we'll get her the question and she can answer it for you.
yeah, I love questions. Make them really hard too. The next strategy is to create accountability. One of the things, definitely my experience and anybody's experience when they've tried to quit something, it doesn't matter what you're quitting. It could be chocolate cake, right? I'm not going to eat chocolate cake. But staying in your head is really disastrous. One, that's where the enemy likes to go. But just getting what is inside your head outside, and what's in the darkness out into the light, and telling somebody, I'm not gonna drink tonight. And it doesn't have to be a burden. It can just be, whether you're telling the host of the party or the person you're going with. And I always tell people, like, sometimes maybe that's hard for them, or they don't feel like they have a supportive person to tell. Well, if you buy the devotional and you can come into a private Facebook group and go, hey, I'm going to this holiday party. I'm going to be tempted, but I'll come out the other side good. Boom, out of the darkness into the light. You've created accountability. And now you can go and report in the next day and say, I did it, right? And
Yes.
so accountability, I think, statistically will make you 5 times more likely to succeed. And
Ooh, okay.
yeah, and so I know that works for me. No matter what I've ever done, I think when I'm successful and I tell somebody that I'm doing it, if I tell myself, it's, the likelihood of me talking myself out of it because nobody knows is pretty high. And I'm pretty sure most people understand that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. What's our next one?
Well, the next and final one is develop your elevator speech. Again, people get really surprised when asked questions about why they're not drinking, and they start stuttering, and they're like they don't know how to answer. And a lot of people are afraid that it's a negative to say I'm not drinking. But the fact is that when you start getting comfortable with saying no thank you, people go, oh my gosh, that's so cool, I wish I could do that. Right?
Right?
Especially with people that are used to seeing you drink, they're going to ask, like, you're not drinking? Why? You don't want to go, oh, I just had to. But like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Let me grab you a vodka soda or something like that. It's going in with confidence and being excited and getting that mindset back and that reason and that future focus. As a matter of fact, that's another free resource I have on the website. Is I have flashcards, and there's 20 different things that you could respond in a really
Oh, wow.
positive manner. Yeah.
What is the website, Rose?
It's www.theplansehehasforme.com. And if you go under free resources, you'll see
Okay.
those flashcards, and they'll just give you some ideas about, no, thank you. I've got an early appointment at the gym, or I have a big to-do list in the morning. Or I'm on a diet, or I'm on a cleanse, and there are so many things you can respond where people go, oh, that makes sense. Like, and if they go just one, like, I'm good. Yeah. But it's that tonality that makes all the difference in the world. That confidence. Nobody questions confidence.
That's true. That's very true. So I work with a lot of kids that are struggling. Probably not so much with alcohol. I'm sure alcohol may play a part sometimes, but with other drugs. Do you ever talk about, other drugs than alcohol? I know you probably didn't use other drugs, but we really have an epidemic. The opioid crisis that we heard about a lot in 2016. We're now seeing it in our area in Texas, and it is taking a toll and killing our kids. And
It
so
is.
I work in education, and so I have not seen a kid killed by drugs, but it has harmed a lot of lives. But I have kids, that have been arrested, because of drug use, and so our nation is in crisis right
I agree. And so What I've learned through this process is in the devotional, I try and say neurological habit instead of saying, alcohol a lot, because it really is about renewing your mind and creating new neurological pathways. There is some physical part of it that your body has to, you know, um, get into homeostasis about, but mostly it's a spiritual battle and a renewal of our minds. But what I have found, I'm doing a beta test at a church right now, and the pastor, my specialty is alcohol. I was lucky enough not to have. It's not that I didn't try drugs, but they don't agree with me. But my pastor did invite people with addictions to drugs, and it's completely transferable. All these things, but trying to develop this awareness of life with and without it. Like, what is it doing? What is it stealing from you? Because what I noticed that was in my head when I was trying to get out of what I call psychological slavery is I used to be this and I used to be that, and I thought I would go here, and then you look at your life and you go, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. This choice, right? But when we're stuck in it, we don't see a way out. And I just want to, that's why I have conversations like this with you. I want to share that on the other side of this, you can see the lie that you told yourself, the lie that the enemy created in your head. And it's horrendous. I think I may have mentioned at the beginning, I used to be a really heavy cigarette smoker, and nicotine is a drug too. And for
That's
me,
that's one of the most addictive drugs.
yeah, and so I think I come from experience on the addiction scale, right? I quit, and I lost track of how many years ago I quit. I think we're going on 17, somewhere around there. But I was such a heavy smoker that it used to be the first thing I did when I woke up in the morning and the last thing I did before I went to bed. And I needed pharmaceuticals to try and get myself off. Um, so that's pretty serious. And what I do want to share with people is this hope basis. God has a plan for you. And while I know that NAAA, they've helped save so many lives, I want to tell people that there is no reason that you have to call yourself a name or be,
Forever.
or be in recovery forever. And I will go back to my cigarette habit, and thank you for acknowledging how difficult that addiction is, because it was.
And
And
so, we give stigmas to certain things. And so, but they're created by the enemy just to really tie up our life. And
right,
so just to waste years, just years, good brain cells, still time from us. And I look back and I see that that's exactly what, in my 20s when I had lost my mind, was out there just doing crazy stuff. But all it did was steal years and steal time. Drugs and alcohol
still joy.
from your family. It steals time from your family. It steals time from your creativity. It steals it's time from whatever you're called to do, because you're a whole piece of yourself and a whole piece of your life is tied into that thing. And so, not that, alcohol is the big devil, or smoking cigarettes is the big devil, but is it stealing your time, and is it stealing your life, and is it stealing precious moments that belong to someone else? And
Amen.
so, I'm sorry about that rant, but, I just kind of reflecting.
No, and so here's the interesting thing that I like to tell people about labels. You are 100% right. We pick and choose things and apply labels to them when we're all just created in the image of God with a gift and a purpose for his kingdom, right? That's all we are as children of God. And here's what's weird about the cigarettes. For some reason, I wasn't a cigaretteaholic, I wasn't a smokeaholic, and I wasn't in recovery for the rest of my life. I just ended up quitting, one, because I knew it was killing me, and two, because I don't want to do it anymore. I realized the consequences, right? And so why we pick and choose things we have to, and so that's where I'm trying to go with the alcohol. If, let's not villainize it, but if it is stealing from you in your life, then you're right, there's something on the other side. Better relationships, better health, more joy, more peace, like there's a lot of things on the other side of this, and it's peace and joy despite circumstances, because I know I used substances to try and avoid personal pain. But now I just have this confidence in dealing with things that are thrown at me that are not fun, but I'm solving them with a clear mind, not just hiding with the blinds closed with a drink in my hand, right? I'm solving problems, and that gives me joy and confidence.
So now, somebody that's had some sobriety. So now what do you do when you're faced with anxiety, when you're faced with that time that you used to use drinking? Now, how do you replace that? Because I kind of almost feel that you have to replace it with something. If not, most people will replace it with another drug.
Right. Um, I replace it with this, what I'm doing now, because it gives me so much joy. I feel like God used every gift I had and every pain and suffering moment I had for this moment right here, right? I used to be an executive. I'm a flow chart thinker. I was an accountant. I was an operations person. And so that those gifts allowed me to create a process, a devotional, what do you have to do? A flow chart. My mind works in a flow chart. I create. So, and then you're using your gifts, you're using it for the kingdom, and you see a life change, and you're like, thank you, Jesus, right? It's, and we only have to there was a pastor, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Miles McPherson, and every now and then pastors say things that stick with you kind of forever. And he used to say his kind of mantra was building an army for God. And he said, what would happen if we lived our life such that we could each affect 3 people on planet Earth? That's all in our lifetime, 3. And those 3 could affect 3. Can you imagine the effect? Like, we don't have to change the world, but we can be a light.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To affect our family. Like you mentioned motherhood is your first job. It is, because those lives are the first ones you're affecting, right? And yeah, I just love that.
Wow. So we have about 6 more minutes. So what would you like to leave everybody with? First, I want to hear your website again. I have to go back and put it in the description. But right now, there's a couple of you on. If you have any questions for Roseanne, please go ahead and drop them in the chat really quick. Um, because this is a topic, and this is real life. What do you want to leave everybody with?
Um, there's relationships is kind of one of the things I'm thinking about. Some people are drinking inside a relationship and they're worried about their spouse who might be still drinking, right? And how do I do this? I'd say focus on yourself right now, not that. Because when you focus on yourself and God's plan for you, you are just going to develop so much more clarity and wisdom and discernment about what to do. If you are a person who is living with somebody who has a problem, that's the other difference in my approach. It's a 12-week challenge. And so if they've mentioned to you that they're struggling, hey honey, why don't you take this 12-week challenge? That it's so much more gentler, right? Than
Okay, so we're going to do a 12-week challenge. That's what your challenge is us to do. So does the challenge start today, Roseanne? Tell me how this challenge is going to work. First, we got to go get the book. Where's the book at?
the book is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and even christianbooks.com, and you can get access to it from my website, all three sites. And you can use the QR code to come into the private Facebook group and get some support and encouragement. So, yeah, and just join some like-minded people taking the same challenge. You are not alone. That's the biggest thing. You are not alone. I was a ministry leader, pastors. We've all been deceived. We're all human, and we can get deceived.
And so
So
there's no shame. And that's another thing. There's no shame. A lot of people, they picked up, drinking, just having, a little glass here or there. And then life stresses came in and you drank more. And for some people, COVID happened and you drank more. And next thing you know, every single afternoon when you get home, you're having drinks and then your body, without you even knowing it, your body starts to depend on that. And sometimes it's just no fault of your own that you become addicted. And then when you try to quit, your body screams.
Thank you. That's exactly what happens. It goes into panic mode, fight or flight. Like, wait. I need that to be at this level. But mindset really does help that fight or flight response. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to get the book. We're going to go to the website. What is the website again?
www.theplansehasforme.com. Tons of free resources and articles and strategies on how to manage through the holidays, maybe some difficult events, what to do if your spouse drinks, lots and lots of stuff.
Dropped in the chat. Overlay's taking a second. So I'm gonna drop the website in the chat. What is the name of the website?
www.theplansehasforme.com.
I'm slow.
Oh, that's okay.
For me.com.
You got it.
There it is, y'all. There it is. There's a link to it right there. Hit it on there. Get your clean on. Get your sobriety on. Let's do this. Let's all do this together. So this is going to be amazing. Last words, Miss Rose. I know I keep saying last words.
Regardless,
so good.
Regardless of what you think, you can do this. I just want to give people hope. It can be done, and don't allow Satan to let you think that it can't, because you're not alone. Lots of people here to help you, including me. So.
Right. Thank you for Nicole for coming in and chatting with us. Thank you for the people that did come in, popped out. Watch this. Please share it out. Because somebody may need to hear this. This may save their life today. Rose and Forte, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. And I pray that your book is going to help many. I'm getting it today so I can get into the free chat. And so Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time on the Parenting Connection Show with Dr. Tyra Hodge.